Hey guys, it's me again. I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel. So after speaking to some of my friends in the year below, I've realised that a lot of you guys' schools are making you start writing your first draft of your personal statement. So I was going to do this video a little bit later, but since you guys have already started it, I thought what better time than to put out a video about how to write a banging personal statement now. But you guys know the drill. Before we get started, don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below to see me weekly. Anyways, let's get on with the video. You guys know that I did apply to Cambridge, so I was an early applicant, and a lot of people who read through my personal statement did say it was a really good personal statement. This actually led me to get offers from Warwick, UCL, Birmingham, and I got an interview to Cambridge. I was put on the adjustment list, which basically means that if I get the grades in the summer for Cambridge, then I might still be able to go. So my personal statement was, in my opinion, and for those who had read it, was a really good personal statement. So I want to share with you guys basically how I managed to write it, because it was not a walk in the park. It was very hard, but I was lucky enough to get support, so I want to share all of the support that I got with you guys. Hey guys, don't watch the change in scenery, but I have a quick announcement for you guys. So I have recently just started online tutoring through Zoom, so I now do one-on-one tutoring with GCSE students and A-level students. If you guys would be interested to be tutored by me, do leave me a message in the comments below, or inbox me on YouTube, DM me on Instagram, or send me an email, whichever way you want, but let me know because I would love to tutor you guys. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So first things first, don't leave things last minute. Obviously right now Corona has given you guys a blessing in disguise, because you have so much time to sort of get ahead of the game, start writing your first few drafts of your personal statement. Because I started my first draft, I would say mid to end August, and because I was an early applicant, I had to send my application off on October the 15th, which meant I had about a month and a half basically to get my personal statement up to scratch. And there were times where I was a little bit stressed out and stuff like that, so you want to start early. I'm sure you guys are aiming for the best of the best universities, and with that comes a lot of responsibility in making sure your personal statement is the best it can be. No room for mistakes, no errors are possible in your personal statement, and that can only happen if you give yourself enough time to go through your personal statement several times. One thing that I actually found out was that at Cambridge they will read personal statements and say yep, and they are saying yes to getting rid of personal statements and getting rid of applications. Not yes to they've made the cut, yes to let's get rid of it. That shows you just how competitive these Russell Group universities really are. So you have to make sure there is no errors, no mistakes in your personal statement at all. Just for some context, I ended up having 7 drafts for my personal statement. Of course the first few were bad, but the 7th one was which I had sent off, and 7 personal statements is very time consuming, so that's why you need to leave yourself a lot of time. Number 2, make a list of all the things you want to include in your personal statement. So if I've still got it, I will insert a picture here of the list that I had written probably the summer of year 12, maybe of all of the things that are good about me, extracurriculars, all of that business, and basically things that I wanted to include in my personal statement. Now this is an exhaustive list, okay? Don't just make it, these are some of the main things, make it an exhaustive list of everything you can list off. Obviously that allows you to choose which are your strongest points and which are your weakest points, what can you get rid of, and what really make you shine and show your personality off, and just identify some really relevant points that you can link to maybe some super curricular activities or your course, what best relates, okay? Number 3, make a skeleton. By skeleton, what I mean is the foundation of your personal statement. You cannot just start writing out your personal statement haphazardly with no structure in mind, no organisation, okay? Because without the bones, you cannot have the body and the flesh. You can't build a person without the bones, okay? The foundation is so important. You want to outline how many paragraphs do you want. What do you want to include in each paragraph, okay? If you don't do this, you will create a huge mess for yourself as you go along the process of your personal statement journey, it will be a nightmare to sort of put things together, and you need the structure, you need the organisation. For example, for me, I had 5 paragraphs in my personal statement. I just got it up on my phone. So my first one was essentially an introduction and an anecdote, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. My second paragraph was just about supercurricular reading. So I talked about an article that I had read in The Economist. I also talked about a book I had read. So I read The Spider Network, which is about the Libor scandal, which was my main paragraph, my main supercurricular paragraph. My third paragraph was about my EPQ, which was how to beat the stock market, as well as my work experience, which I was a finance intern for. My fourth paragraph was about my extracurricular activities. So I talked about the Cambridge HE Plus program. If you see my video, I'll link it in the corner here or here, I forget which side it is. So I had also talked about doing the UK Maths Challenge for 5 years, being an economics tutor, my young enterprise, my YouTube, doing yoga, being an instructor, and being a prefect. And then my final 5th paragraph was essentially about how important economics is in every decision we take. I basically wanted to close my personal statement out on a bang, okay? So this was the brief idea which I had in mind when writing my skeleton of what I want each paragraph to sort of consist of. And when having this in mind, you're able to build and adapt and change things accordingly, and it makes your life so much easier. Number 4, be unique. Now think of this from the academics perspective, the admissions officers who are reading your personal statement, okay? They have to read through thousands and thousands of applications. They are gonna get so bored of hearing similar things for the same courses. I'll give you an example for economics, okay? Everybody reads Freakonomics. Everybody reads The Undercover Economist. Now people will be thinking, I'm gonna talk about it in my personal statement because they're popular books. Just think about it, okay? The admissions officers are going to read this and think, wow, another Freakonomics kid. Wow, another Undercover Economist kid. They are going to be so bored to death. They're not going to remember you. They're not going to think that this person really puts an effort into their course. They're not very passionate about it. You want to think about things that are relevant to the real world and the news today, but also are not very common. Now for me, the book I talked about was called The Spider Network. It's about the Libor scandal, okay? So that's basically the London interbank offered rate. You can look more into that if you're interested, but it's to do with a lot of fraudulent activity in the economy at the time. Now, many other economists or people in general, they won't really have heard about this book because it's not very common. Although the Libor scandal might be common or a popular thing, it's not as popular as these other common economics books. While reading my personal statement, the admissions officers would have been like, wow, I have not seen anyone talk about that before. I've not seen this perspective. And they will be engaged, and that is what will help you either get your foot in the door for an interview at Oxbridge or give you an offer for a very good Russell Group university. Following on from that, find supercurricular articles linking to hot topics. Hot topics include recession, artificial intelligence, technology, climate change, renewable resources, Brexit, coronavirus. Obviously there will be more and more hot topics, so you can look into some more hot topics. But if you can link your personal statement to a hot topic, it really shows that you go above and beyond to read the news, look about things linking to your course, okay? Hot topics that you can link to your course, of course, talk about that, not just some random hot topic. Number 5, don't waste your characters. You get 4,000 characters to write your personal statement. Not 4,000 words, 4,000 characters. That includes your spaces, your full stops, your hyphens, your exclamation marks, all of that. So roughly speaking, that's about one side of A4 paper. You might think that is a sufficient amount to talk about yourself. It's not. It is not. Which is why you have to be very, very careful with your words, okay? My first proper personal statement draft was 6,000 words. Not 6,000 characters, 6,000 words, and cutting it down was a nightmare, okay? And so that's why you need to make sure you are succinct and you do not use flowery, big words. Don't dress up your words with fancy lingo. My passion for economics came to the fore. Came to the fore? What's that about? You just look pretentious. It's not a good thing to do that, because the academics who are reading your personal statement are very, very intelligent people, and they'll just think you're trying too hard to impress. The most successful people are people who are able to express themselves in as minimal words as possible. Keep your sentences short, simple, concise, and succinct. You want to be straight to the point. So for example, for me, my first couple of sentences in my personal statement were, I first found economics was a natural fit for me when I hosted garage sales aged 11. That's a simple sentence. I found that by paying my friends for their labour, I could increase my capacity and generate more profits. They're two simple sentences. You can use simple sentences and still be able to speak very eloquently. Point number 6 is have an engaging intro. You want to write your personal statement as though you're writing a storybook. In primary school, our teachers say to follow the structure like a mountain. So you have your introduction, your build-up, your climax, your cool down, and your resolution sort of ending, okay? Your resolution and the intro sort of start on a bang, end on a bang. You want to mirror that in your personal statement. You need to open your personal statement on such a bang that it engages the readers so much that they want to keep reading, you know? Make the reader want to read on. I'm sure you guys have heard all about that in your secondary school lives, but you want to make sure that the intro is so hard-hitting and so engaging. Now, the best way I can suggest you do this is by using an anecdote. So a short story about yourself, how you got interested in this course. Now for me, my anecdote was that when I was 11 years old, I used to hold garage sales. Basically, my friends in my area, they would come over and help me run my garage sales, and for every customer that they got me, I would pay them like a certain amount, like 20, 50 people. Obviously, I didn't mention that in my personal statement. But I just mentioned that, you know, I paid my friends for their labour, and I linked that to economics. But that was my short story that made the admissions officer realise what was my passion for economics without me explicitly saying, I have a passion for economics, because there are certain taboo phrases in personal statements that you should stay clear of. I have a passion for this subject. I've loved it since I was this and this years old. Empty statements mean nothing if you haven't given sort of proof to back it up. I personally would really strongly suggest you use an anecdote, not something like, I loved economics because my dad's uncle's friend had a business and he made loads of profit and it just gave me a passion. This anecdote will act as a hook. This will hook the academic onto your personal statement and think, okay, this is interesting, let me keep reading. Point number 7 is make sure your extracurriculars link to your course. Most people will have one chunk of supercurricular, one chunk of extracurricular, you know, that's it, jobs are good and end of. But no, what you guys want to do is those extracurricular things that you will talk about, make sure they link to your course. So for example, for me, in my extracurricular part, I talked about my young enterprise and how I was the managing director of our clothing brand, okay? Explicitly, that has nothing to do with economics. I managed to link that to my subject. I essentially said something along the lines of, being the managing director for my young enterprise team, I led the team to make £200 profit with my zero budget mindset and by identifying the elastic nature of our products. Now, some of you might know that price elasticity of demand is an economic concept. So I managed to link my extracurricular activity to my subject, which is economics. This is very important, especially if you're applying to Oxbridge, because I know they say that 80% should be supercurricular, 20% should be extracurricular. But at Peterhouse, when I went to visit, the admissions people actually said that if it were up to them, they would have 100% supercurricular academic related. But you don't just apply to Oxbridge, you apply to either Oxford or Cambridge and then 4 other universities, and those other universities do value your extracurricular activities, which is why you're able to get the best of both worlds, because kind of in a way your extracurriculars become your supercurriculars as well, because you're linking them to your course. But they also tick off the box of extracurriculars. It's like a 2-in-1, and not many people can do that, okay? So if you are doing that, that will give you such a huge step above the rest of the crowd. Number 8, don't be afraid to challenge things. The top universities really value students who can challenge the status quo, who don't just comply and believe every piece of information that they're given or that they see. People who can, when presented with new information, can change their beliefs or challenge their own ideas or challenge the ideas given to them. They're the people that will make the change. They're the people who will create groundbreaking discoveries. They're the people that these top universities want. For example, you could talk about something and say, I read this article, however I completely disagreed with it. Here's why. This is my opinion and this is the proof to back it up. This is the research I've conducted to back it up. For example, in my personal statement, I had said my initial preconceptions of economies have been challenged while delving deeper into the subject. It's a common assumption that economies of OPEC members are robust, but reading The Economist highlighted to how mismanagement of resources can lead to economic collapse, as it has in Venezuela. And I just talked a bit more about that. But that shows you that, you know, I was able to challenge my own ideas when presented with new information. It's hard, but of course the best successful people will do things that not everyone else will do. Which nicely leads me on to my next point. Always give your opinion on everything you write about. Oftentimes what I've seen is when people write things in their personal statement, even if they think it's very, very abstract, they will try and explain it. So this is what this means. But you're forgetting that the people that are reading your personal statement are academics and are subject specialists. So more than likely, they know about what you just talked about in a lot more depth than you, my friend. So don't waste your characters trying to explain a concept to the reader because they already know and they might just take it as an insult. Instead of regurgitating information that can be found online, why not just explain your opinions instead? This shows you're able to formulate your own ideas and understanding of a topic that's apart from the curriculum that you read in school. That highlights your passion for the subject and it shows that you really are dedicated to the course you want to take. And the last point I wanted to say was give your personal statement to anyone and everyone that will read it. Now in my school, everyone in my year group was allocated to a specific staff member who they could basically just dash their personal statement at whenever they wanted and they would sort of go through it. Now my staff member was amazing. She went through and helped me so much with my personal statement, and I'm sure this is the case in your guys' school too, but that shouldn't just be the limit. I also would give my personal statement to my economics teacher, and so after lessons I would sit down with my teacher and we would basically go through my personal statement. What can we change? What is good? What is bad? And we would do this quite often, okay? So go to your subject teacher. I also gave mine to my form tutor, so even though she wasn't in the subject of economics, she was biology, she still could help me as like another pair of eyes. And then I also had my parents read through it quite a few times, and I also had my OMS mentor. I'll probably do another video about the whole OMS scheme. It's really good. He basically went to Oxford University and he basically was my mentor. So I basically had 6 other pairs of eyes reading my personal statement besides my own. And this essentially meant I had 6 different perspectives and a lot of feedback, okay? I would get all the feedback from all of the different people, collate them together and make all of those changes on another draft and call that like draft 2 or something. As soon as I've done that, dash that personal statement out to all of those people again, collate the feedback, make amendments, dash it out again, draft 3, and so on and so forth until you're happy. That is a cycle that I basically followed. So yeah guys, those are basically my top tips on how to write a banging personal statement for your Russell Group universities, your Oxford universities, basically the best of the best. This is what you should do in order to get there and get your offers that you want. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to help. Just DM me on Instagram, my @ is here. If not, just leave a comment down below and I'll reply to all of you guys. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye!